Hey hostel managers, in this video we're going to be looking at Risk-Free Reservations by Booking.com. It's a new program they have, and we're going to see if it's good for the guests, or if it's good for our hostels, or if it's just good for Booking.com. Coming right up. Okay, so this is our second episode of Headlines in Our Hostels, and from what I can tell, the first week, last week, was a big success. We got like 43 new subscribers to the channel, and I heard from a lot of you in the YouTube comments and by email. It was really great to connect with some old friends from the hostel industry from way back. That's really encouraging. It's my hope that these videos that you share with us and that we publish on this channel will all kind of make us feel a little bit more connected. Right now, because of the pandemic, we're all kind of quarantined in our different regions of the world, and travelers are only venturing out in small circles. But if we can kind of stay connected through videos, I think it'll make us all feel a little bit better about this terrible year or years that we're having. Hey, while we're on the topic of videos, let's talk about them. Just like on HostelManagement.com, videos are becoming the preferred way to communicate. How many of you feel like that your guests simply don't read the information that you send them or put on your website? Now, this is annoying if guests don't read after they've made a reservation, but what if the guests don't read before they've made a reservation? If they don't understand what your hostel is all about, they might be disappointed when they arrive because they have false expectations of what you can provide. Or they might pass on making the booking in the first place. This is especially true during COVID. A lot of guests are understandably nervous about staying in a hostel during COVID. And even if you've taken all the time to explain all of the precautions on your website and in emails, nothing compares to video when it comes to showing guests what to expect. For example, I thought this video from Casa Bonita, Hostel Cordoba, is simple and effective. It shows guests can still have an enjoyable stay even during the pandemic. You watch the video and it's very clear that they have parking, it's clear that they're dog friendly. It shows the check-in process with everyone wearing masks, and they've got hand sanitizer available there. The thing is a lot of us don't even really know what the correct protocol is in different environments. So whether a guest likes their masks or just wears it because they have to, it's nice to know what the expectation is when you first arrive at the hostel. They also show that the hostel has a comfortable outdoor area where guests can still be social with other guests. It's perfect. We did a video like this at Pacific Tradewinds Hostel early in the pandemic where we showed guests what to expect, all of the cleaning that we were doing, and how the self-check-in process works. I'll put a link to that video in the description. So I really encourage hostels to experiment with video and let us know if you need any help. This is what I'm trying to learn right now, is to get really good with the medium of video. You can send in videos and we can put them on the site. My family just brought back a donut with rainbow sprinkles. So it's a good day when you have a donut with rainbow sprinkles. I just received a message from Rosie at the Stay the Night team. She said that they've recently been made aware of a number of scams circulating related to a business Instagram accounts that have been hacked. It's a phishing scam where they send you an email that says your account has been hacked and you need to log in in order to retrieve your password and secure your account. But in fact, when you actually click the link, it's not going to Instagram. It's of course going to the scammer's Instagram page that looks like Instagram, but it's not Instagram. When you enter in your username and password, you're going to wind up giving them your username and password. They will immediately log into your account and they'll change the username and password, so you're basically locked out. In some cases, she says that further correspondence will be sent attempting to blackmail you in order to get access to your account again. But there are ways to deal with this legitimately through Instagram, so never go through with their demands. Unfortunately, scams like this are on the rise, particularly with any small business owners, because the scammers assume that small business owners a lot of times have more money than most, but they don't necessarily have the IT departments to protect themselves from these sorts of things. We actually received something similar at HostelManagement.com, where one of my staff actually received an email that looked like it was from me. It said from Darren, but the language was a little off. It was a little bit differently than I would normally communicate, so she was smart and she said on WhatsApp, she said, "Darren, did you send this email?" Did not send the email. Email is just very easy to spoof. Email is just to be considered an unreliable, insecure method of communication. So we now have a policy that passwords are never to be sent over email because you just really don't know who you're sending the email to. We use WhatsApp, which is end-to-end encrypted, or SMS is another way of communicating passwords to people. Anyway, Stay the Night said that they would be willing to look at the email. If you wanted to forward it, you could also forward it to us and we would be willing to look at it as well. Their email address is hello@staythenight.net, and someone on their team will get back to you about that. For those of you who don't know, Stay the Night is a marketing agency that specializes in marketing for hostels. They do services including social media management, paid advertising, and public relations. Anyway, thanks Rosie for sending that in, and hostel owners, share it with your fellow hostel owners so that nobody gets taken by this scam. Okay, hot off the press on hosteljobs.net, Jessica at HostelCat in Las Vegas just sent us this video about some opportunities they have for travelers to join their community and stay a while.
Hi, I'm Jess coming to you live from the newly renovated HostelCat in Las Vegas. I just wanted to show you a quick tour of our new renovations and tell you about our latest volunteer opportunity. This is our newly renovated courtyard. As you can see, it's pretty big. We have lots of places to sit. We also have a place out there for outdoor grilling, and we have lots of games available. At night out here, sometimes we play beer pong. We have a little inflatable pool that we set up when it gets too hot. We are in the heart of the Arts District of Las Vegas, which is full of many restaurants and bars and shops. And we are looking for fun volunteers, preferably with hostel experience, that can come and stay in Vegas for at least a month and help out with reception or housekeeping in exchange for a bed. So if you're free for at least a month and that's something you'd be interested in, please send an email to hostelcatmanager@gmail.com. Hope to see you soon.
Like Rosie and Stay the Night, Jessica is also a great social media marketer. One of the things that I know many hostel owners like myself have been very frustrated by is the fact that guests will communicate on a variety of different platforms. You'll get messages on Google Maps, Google My Business, Yelp, TripAdvisor, Instagram, Facebook, email, voice messages, text messages, SMS, WhatsApp. How are you supposed to keep track of them all? Well, that's, I think, what Stay the Night does. That's what Jessica did for my hostel in San Francisco. And within minutes, the guest inquiry is already getting a response. I don't know how they track all of these different platforms at once. They're expert at using their phone to communicate. Anyway, thanks, Jessica, for all you did at Pacific Tradewinds Hostel. And thanks, Rosie, again, for that tip that you sent earlier. Okay, so we recently became aware of a new program at Booking.com called Risk-Free Reservations. I read through their information about risk-free bookings the best I can, and this is what I understand. So the goal of the program is to give Booking.com guests more flexibility to cancel their reservations last minute without increasing the risk of an unsold bed in your hostel. If you opt into the program, Booking.com will enhance your cancellation policy to the benefit of the guest. For example, if you currently require a 48-hour notice on all cancellations, Booking.com might change this to allow the guest to cancel penalty-free up to and including their planned arrival time. Or if you have a stricter cancellation policy such as 7 days, advance notice required before any cancellations, Booking.com might enhance your cancellation policy to the benefit of the guest by only a few days. So if the guest cancels inside your cancellation policy window, for example, less than 48 hours notice, Booking.com will temporarily increase the exposure of your hostel and the desirability of your property in an attempt to replace the canceled reservation. They mention that one of the methods that they do this is by lowering the price of your property by reducing the amount of the Booking.com commission that they'll receive. Personally, I don't generally have a problem with that as long as it comes out of Booking.com's commission, but some hostel owners are sensitive to having their prices lowered too much. Another way that they temporarily increase the likelihood that your canceled reservation will get rebooked by another traveler is to temporarily increase your position on search results. So if your property normally appears below the fold, like we see here for Hostel Ruthensteiner on the list of Vienna hostels, Booking.com will temporarily put your listing back up to the top in order to get that canceled reservation filled. Additionally, Booking.com says that they will not offer risk-free reservations to all travelers. Using their traveler insights, they can predict the likelihood of a user canceling. I suspect that if a traveler has canceled a Booking.com reservation any time in the past, they probably won't be offered risk-free reservations. If the original reservation is for multiple nights and they can only find a replacement reservation for some of the nights, they say that they will continue to look for other guests to fill the gaps left from the original reservation. Finally, Booking.com says that if they are not able to replace the canceled reservation at your hostel, they will compensate you. But here are the potential gotchas that I saw when I looked through their FAQ about risk-free reservations. If a risk-free reservation cancels, you must leave the canceled room, presumably this applies to beds as well, open and bookable after the original reservation is canceled. It's not clear how they do this or how they would determine this. It would be easy to determine this if you have a single room and a room type, but if you have multiple units to sell, as we do with dorms, in a room type, how do they determine that the bed is open and bookable? For example, let's say that you have availability of 10 beds for a particular date in a particular room after a risk-free reservation cancellation of one person. If another booking comes in direct to your website or to another OTA, then the availability that you would be presenting to Booking.com, presuming you're using a channel manager, would now be 9 beds. So would they claim that the bed that they were responsible was no longer available, so they're no longer obliged to compensate you? Another thing to keep in mind is while it seems very altruistic of Booking.com to scramble to find a replacement reservation for your canceled risk-free booking, what if another Booking.com reservation was already destined to come in after the original cancellation? Booking.com would claim, well, we refilled the risk-free reservation, but your hostel would still be losing out on income from the canceled booking. If a multiple night risk-free reservation cancels and Booking.com can't refill it, they say that they will compensate you based on the policy that applied to the original reservation. So if you were only entitled to charge a cancellation fee for the first night, that's all Booking.com is going to give you as well, the first night. You should know that you will not be compensated for the remaining nights. Booking.com says that they're not responsible for force majeure events. In the beginning of the pandemic, many hostels lost a lot of money because of force majeure cancellations. But now, pandemic-related cancellations should be a known risk for all travelers. After all, we all know that there's the possibility of a positive COVID test or a lockdown. If Booking.com interprets force majeure broadly, there could be lots of reasons where they would find not to compensate you for a risk-free reservation. There are a number of other gotchas that we found in the Risk-Free Reservations program. We'll put a link to that FAQ down in the description. So what do you guys think? Are risk-free reservations worth it for your hostel, or do you think that there are too many escape clauses for Booking.com? Personally, this is again another reason that hostels should really do everything that they can to promote direct bookings in our hostels as much as possible. As they say in Vegas,
the house always wins.
And in this case, Booking.com is the house. Do any of you guys have experience with risk-free reservations? Is there anyone at Booking.com that would be willing to speak to us in an authoritative manner about how this would actually work for hostels? So give us an email at support@hostelmanagement.com. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this episode of Headlines in Our Hostels. If you'd like to watch another video from the Hostel Management YouTube channel, click right up here. And if you'd like to have more hostel related content show up in your YouTube feed, hit the subscribe button right down here. All right, thanks a lot. See you in the next video.